Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is to try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades, we do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us and get access to an exclusive in-depth strategy video, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at earnings for Meta Materials, MMAT, and we also looked at ticker symbol FRZA, so please refer back to the previous video for updates of both stocks. In today's video we're also going to be looking at the presentation that was just recently completed by the company with a focus on Nextbridge, so we'll be looking at that and going forward what we can read into the outcomes that were shared. So before we do that, let's have a look at what's going on in the markets. There is some good news. So a headline here from Bloomberg, we can see that stocks push towards the longest weekly rally this year in terms of what's going on. So the US consumer sentiment is rising to a 3-month high in terms of the outlook. The Bank of America is also saying cash is racing to stocks, bonds, and the reason for this is the fear of inflation is easing now. So before we look at the Series A preferred shares update, I'd like to give a special thanks and shout out to Uncle Smokey Stock Trades for broadcasting the presentation live. So let's now proceed to have a look at the presentation slide in question. So on the screen here you'll see the title at the top, Series A preferred shares update with a focus on Nextbridge hydrocarbon. So before we share some opinions, let's have a look at the key summary on what's stated in terms of on the slide. So first of all, we have the disposition of the oil and gas assets now planned as a share exchange. So that will be transforming, MMTLP will be transforming and will be spun out into Nextbridge Hydrocarbons. Nextbridge Hydrocarbons will become a separate company with a new management team owned by the Series preferred stockholders. So the Series preferred stockholders, Series A's preferred stockholders, will be everybody who owns MMTLP. So in terms of the registration statement, we also have confirmation here that the Form S was filed on 15th of July 2022. We know on average it takes 27 days for this to be approved and completed. So if we go by the average, then potentially next week we could have a decision. However, there was also a statement to say that it could also take up to 45 days. So we may also need to be prepared to wait as well. So with regards to the cost for drilling and administration, this is amounted to approximately $15 million. So this was incurred by Meta and will have to be repaid by Nextbridge with an interest rate charged at 8%. Finally, upon completion of the exchange, for every Series A preferred share that you hold in MMTLP, you will receive in exchange for that 1 share of Nextbridge common stock. So after that, any costs involved with the drilling and also oil and gas operations will also have to be incurred by Nextbridge Hydrocarbons, and Meta will no longer be paying these. However, any previous costs are still going to remain as a debt to Meta. So let's now have a look at some further analysis and what else we can find with regard to this update. What I'd now like to do is give a shout out to Tony from Market Moves, and what he stated here is just got a chance to hear the replay. Most important part is just before the end of the Q&A and wrapping up, George talked about oil and gas assets. He didn't have to, but he did. And Tony thinks it was very positive about Nextbridge and the timing for oil and gas. So what Tony has also gone on to say further down, his oil and gas asset sales are usually kept very quiet from the buyer and the seller side until the deal is done and then announced. So this is certainly true, and hopefully once we get the S1 approval, an announcement can be made. But what I'm now going to do is read out this statement that George made towards the end. So with regard to Tony's statement, what I'm now going to do is read out George's statement at the end in terms of what I picked up. So please feel free to correct me if you feel it's necessary. But what I did pick up is that George stated, enabling the assets to be sold at the highest price possible. Timing is fantastic now. We are in a super cycle for oil and gas. The team has got extensive experience in oil and gas. So to me, that is very bullish. Let's have a look at what George may have meant. So one positive thing that I picked up from what George's statement here is he's talked about timing being fantastic. He's also said we are looking at the assets to be sold at the highest price possible. So that is, again, exceptionally good news for investors in MMTLP going forward. So for those of you who've been following the channel will be aware that in one of the previous videos, one of the things I've been focusing on is tackling FUD with regard to Nextbridge. There has been a number of statements by people on social media saying that Nextbridge is going to be a public company, it is going to be tradable on the OTC. So that has also been dealt with. So let's now give a shout out to Metamaterial News, who've confirmed here, Nextbridge confirmed to be going private in MMAT earnings call. And again, what we also said earlier is it could also take up to 45 days for the S1 approval, but on average, remember, it can take 27 days as well. So again, confirmation here that it is going to be private. So if you remember my previous video with regard to the FUD, let's have a look at a summary of what was stated previously. I'm now going to give another shout out to Imbecile One. So after having heard the presentation and confirmation from the company itself that Nextbridge is going to be private, let's see what the position of Imbecile One is now, and do we get an apology, do we get an acknowledgement? So his statement here is, I can't answer that, maybe after the spin out they plan to buy back our shares or have a private buyout lined up that will take place shortly after the spin out completes. I don't have social media, so I can't ask them directly, and even so I doubt they will disclose my plans until they are ready to do whatever it is. So this imbecile is still claiming that the Nextbridge is going to be an OTC stock. So what he's now saying is after it goes onto the OTC, it will then be converted into a private company. What the imbecile is also saying here, he doesn't have social media, so the imbecile doesn't have Twitter, doesn't have Facebook, doesn't have Instagram, but does have stock twits. So let's now have a look at a quick reminder with regard to imbecile number 2, and what imbecile number 2 said here is MMTLP will spin off into Nextbridge, a public company with public common stock. So what's the current position of imbecile number 2? So the good news is imbecile number 2 has acknowledged that it's now going a private company. So as far as I'm concerned, imbecile 2 has learned from his mistake. So well done, imbecile, for acknowledging your mistake and error in stating that Nextbridge is going to be public. So you now have acknowledged. Imbecile 1 still hasn't acknowledged. So as far as I'm concerned, imbecile number 2 is no longer an imbecile, still a bear. So let's see what the imbecile let's see what the bear is now saying. So the bear is now saying is going private is never a good thing. I was hoping for a public tradable because at least you can buy when it's low and sell on sub new. So the bear is very disappointed here, and what the bear is now saying is private, you'll just be stuck. So at least the bear has acknowledged he was wrong. What we'd now like to do is finish off by giving another shout out again to the watch list. So in our weekly watch list, which is shared exclusively with the Discord members prior to trading on the Monday, these are 3 stocks that we called out. So we've called out Plug, and obviously we expected earnings, and I did expect the stock to run up to earnings. We also called out ticker symbol FRZA, which is an upcoming IPO stock, and we also called out NKTX amongst many others. So let's have a quick look with terms of what's happening with these. So with regard to FRZA, so remember this is an IPO that initially started at $5. There was a good opportunity here to cash this out potentially at $15 today. Obviously if you could have invested in this at $5. Right now, at time of editing, it's still up from $5 to $7.76. So again, quite a volatile stock, but that's ticker symbol FRZA. We also called out ticker symbol NKT here, also known as Nakata Incorporated. So at time of editing, this is up 8% on the day and currently 12% up on the week. So the final one that we also called out is Plug. So again, congratulations to everybody who got in Plug. Right now, close to 6% up on the day, and also close to 20% up on the week with regard to buying from the dips. There was a strong dip here on the 10th, and from there it's currently trading at $29.38.